everyone, it's Dana. In this video, I want to talk about restaurants in America and the difference between restaurant culture in Japan and in America. Because Corona is the situation is starting to get better and America is mostly accepting tourists now. So maybe in the near future, some of you will go on vacation to America or visit family in America. And these are some common things that I think Japanese people really need to know before they travel to America. I want to give you guys 3 general rules for going to a restaurant in America. Number 1, you cannot say sumimasen to the wait staff, or in English, excuse me. You can't say that to the waiters. In America, the system is very different. So every waiter has one section of the restaurant that is theirs to take care of. So that means that you will have one waiter for your whole time in the restaurant. So you can't say excuse me to any waiter in the restaurant. Only your waiter can take your order. So generally speaking, when you go to a restaurant in America, the waiter will sit you at a table and take your order. Maybe drink order first. Go and get the drinks and then bring the drinks back to your table, and then at that time take your food order. At that point, they will put in your food order, and if you want anything extra after that, you basically have to wait for the staff to come back to your table and take your order again. So periodically, they will check back in with you and see if you want anything else. But if you suddenly decide you want to order something more, you're not supposed to say, excuse me. So, of course, a lot of Japanese people ask me the question, well, what do you do if the waiter hasn't come back to your table? Which is a good question and is kind of a frustrating point for Americans as well. But basically, you have to kind of make eye contact with the waiter. So you can't say loudly, excuse me, that's rude. But you can kind of, connect eyes with them and maybe, make a small movement. That's okay. But you can't say anything out loud, or you can't do what people do in Japan. So even when I first came to Japan, it felt so wrong to say sumimasen in a restaurant. It felt so rude because I grew up with this American system. Point 2 is about how to order food in America. So this is kind of a smaller point, but generally in Japan, when you go to a restaurant or a bar with friends, you order a lot of small dishes and share with everyone usually. But in America, that's not as common. So generally speaking, appetizers are for sharing, but your main meal is only for you or only for one person. So in Japan, a lot of the time, if someone orders a big dish, the staff will bring a lot of smaller plates so that you can share the food onto those plates and everyone can try. But that's not so common in America. If you want to do it, it's okay, but you need to ask for extra plates. Or if you order something big and you want to share, maybe you have to ask the staff, could you please cut it in half or something like that. Number 3, tipping. And I know that Japanese people are already aware of the fact that you need to tip in America. So when you go to a restaurant, you need to tip. I guess it's optional, but it's not really, because the wait staff make $3 an hour or something crazy. They do not make money from their actual wage. They make money from their tips. So it's very important that you leave a reasonable amount of money for their tip. So what is a reasonable amount of money? Generally speaking, 15% to 20% is acceptable for leaving a tip. So generally, I think 20% is the amount that you should give. If the service wasn't amazing, maybe you leave 15%, but do not go lower than 15%. unless like the wait staff was extremely rude and did something awful. But generally don't go lower than 15. Otherwise you're a bad customer and the wait staff will hate you. So if the staff was amazing, like really good service, of course, feel free to go above 20%. But generally speaking, I would not go below 15%, especially with problems like slowness or things like that aren't the staff's fault. You know, sometimes that's the kitchen or just the fact that the restaurant is so busy or something. So please be nice and leave a decent tip. So when you pay in America, it's a little bit different from Japan as well. Usually the waiter will bring you your check to the table that you're at, and you can leave a card. Usually that's what Americans do. They use a debit or a credit card, but you can also leave cash. So another common question that Japanese people ask me is, if you pay with a card, how do you tip? So in America, the receipt will list a spot to write the tip amount and the total amount. So you can write in whatever you want for the tip, then write the total, and then sign your name. So that way you can still include tip if you pay with a card. If you pay with cash, of course, you can just leave the tip at the table and, you know, leave the restaurant. The other confusing point maybe is, where do you need to tip? So any restaurant you need to tip at. It doesn't matter what kind of restaurant it is. The exception is fast food. Like if you order at a counter and take your own food, then generally you don't need to tip, like, you know, McDonald's or something like that. The other confusing point for foreigners in America is, in what other situations do we need to pay tips? And basically the general rule is, if it's a service that you're receiving, you should tip. If it's not a service, if it's a product that you're buying, you don't need to tip. So this means basically, if you go to the hair salon, nail salon, to a spa or something like that, you should tip. As well as taxis, also tip, including the hotel. So if your hotel has a porter and the porter helps you, you should tip. Then again, I've never been to fancy hotels in America, so I'm probably not the best person to ask. But generally, if it's a service, tip 15 to 20%. And that applies for all services. So not just restaurants, 15 to 20%, but everything, nail salon, hair salon, all that kind of stuff. And if you're really not sure, of course, you can always Google it, and don't be afraid to just ask people, because most Americans are very friendly and very honest. So when I worked at a nail salon, sometimes tourists would ask me, you know, what should we do? How do we tip? How much are we supposed to tip? And that's perfectly fine. I don't mind helping, and I'm sure most other people don't mind helping with that kind of thing. So don't be afraid to ask Americans for help if you need it. So that was 3 rules for how to go to a restaurant in America. So if you guys have any questions about other aspects of traveling to America, feel free to comment. And thank you guys for watching as always. See you guys in the next video. Bye!